100% of the time, it usually, 100% of the time, it usually wouldn't be 100%, would it? 90% of the time, your haziness is going to go away and it will blend right in. So many image transfer techniques floating around: packing tape, Mod Podge, polyacrylic, but they don't all give you the same results. So today I'm going to show you 11 different methods using the exact same graphic so we can see how differently each one performs. Okay, I'm going to show you a whole bunch of graphic transfers. Let's get started. There's something about graphic and image transfers that I absolutely love. Always experimenting, trying to find different ways to transfer onto different materials. So today's video is chock full of different transfer methods that I think you're going to love. I'm going to make it really easy, and I'm going to use the same graphic, this welcome graphic, to do all of the transfers. So when we're all done, we can see all of the different ways, and they're all going to be using the same graphic. So let's get started. Have you ever seen a graphic transfer done with packing tape? This is so easy. It's just regular packing tape. I've printed off my graphic on my laser printer. Now, unfortunately, with this graphic transfer, it will only work with a laser printer. It does not work with an inkjet printer. So don't even try it. It rubs right off. So this is printed on regular computer paper on my laser printer. I've sized it in my Word program to fit in the piece of packing tape. We're going to cut a piece off. We're going to place it right on top of that graphic. And I just have a wallpaper squeegee. You can use a credit card or something like that, but you really want to press it right into that packing tape. We want it to really be bonded really well into that paper. And then we're going to take our scissors. We're going to trim it. And I have, that looks fantastic. I have a dish of water. This is just warm water. We're going to take this and we're going to set it in the warm water for about 30 seconds to 60 seconds, depending on how thick your computer paper is. This is a really cheap computer paper, so it's not going to take very long to soak. It's going to curl up. Let's just leave it. Okay, let's take the paper out of the water. Here's where the magic happens. Lay it down flat, start in the middle, and rub the paper off. And as you will see, the graphic stays on that packing tape. And you've just transferred that image onto the packing tape, and you've created like a DIY sticker or a label, or you can add it into your mixed media projects or your junk journaling, or you can put it on a glass jar. So many possibilities, and it's really simple to do. You just have to just take your time, rub off all the paper, and once it dries, it's still sticky. If you find, sometimes I've ran into some tape and it's not sticky, you can just add a little bit of Mod Podge or a little bit of glue stick and stick it on your project and you're good to go. But this packing tape that I have works really well, and it's just from the dollar store. I've got this glass vase that I picked up at the thrift store. We're going to clean it really well with some rubbing alcohol where we're going to put the sticker so it just sticks really well. Imagine this technique being used in your pantry for your kitchen. You can label all of your jars and your containers, or in your craft room, you can label all your jars with this technique, but it's that simple. Push it on, it's a sticker. Really great transfer technique just using some packing tape. Did you know that you could do a transfer on clear shelf liner from the dollar store? And it's really simple. I always pick a roll of this up. Sometimes I even find it at the thrift store. And what you're going to need is the shelf liner, and you're going to need a piece of shiny paper, like CD labels, or like these that you would have put on stickers from the yard sale. Again, you can find these at the dollar store. A lot of times I find those old CD label sheets at the thrift store. Pick them up. They're fantastic for doing transfers on. So what we're going to do, we are just going to remove these. Save these for your mixed media or your junk journals. Don't throw them out. And you want this shiny piece of paper right here. What you're going to do is you're going to put it through your laser printer. It works best with a laser printer, and print out your graphic. I put these into my Word program, sized them for what I needed. We're going to cut one out, make it a little bit bigger than the actual graphic. Make sure you don't touch the graphic because you'll rub it off, and we don't want to do that. Get a piece of shelf liner, the same size. Okay. Now we're going to peel off, which can sometimes prove to be tricky, but we're going to, because we're here on camera, we're going to do it perfect the first time. Never happens that way. Okay, don't watch me do this. We got it. You just peel off the backing. We're going to lay it as nice and flat right into that graphic. We're going to get our squeegee that I saved from a wallpaper job that I did, but you can also use a credit card. We're going to burnish it right into that shelf liner. Okay, now that I've got it stuck to my table, we're going to peel it off. Now you can trim it down to size so it's nice and neat. And now comes the magic part. You're going to peel away that shelf liner. See if I can grab it again. Oh, why? There we go. It always is so fussy when I'm trying to do it on camera. Peel it away. If you notice that the toner hasn't come off and there's still some on the shiny side of that sheet, put it back down, burnish it again, and then peel it off. Watch this magic. This is so cool. Look at this. It has come off the sheet. You have done a transfer onto the shelf liner and created a sticker that you can put on your DIYs. I have let's see if I can do this. I have a vase here, and I'll just show you. I've got some alcohol on a little piece of paper towel to clean it all up because we want to make sure that it's nice and dry and clean so it sticks well. Okay. Pick up our sticker and put it on your project. How cool is that to customize something that you want with a name or a specific graphic, but so easy to do with the dollar store shelf liner. Before we jump into the next transfer, I want to share something I've built for my creative friends here. It's called the Graphics Club, and every week members get 5 brand new graphics, all designed by me, delivered straight to your inbox for just $6.99 a month. And inside the library, there are already hundreds waiting for you that I've designed. They're organized by season, holiday, quotes, there's prints, so you can always find the perfect one for your next project. Members also get exclusive videos where I go deeper on techniques and project ideas. Plus, you're gonna have access to our private Facebook group where you can ask me any crafting question, and I'm gonna personally help you through it. It's honestly one of my favorite places online, a cozy creative space filled with people who just get it. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, you can scan the QR code here, or you can just check the link below, and I'd love to have you join us. Now we're going to do some transfers onto some fabric. This is just some cotton fabric. We're going to do two that are going to be completely different, so you can see two different ways that you can transfer onto something like this. Now we are going to, the first one, we're going to use just plain computer paper. And I've printed off this graphic on my laser printer. This will also work with an inkjet printer. So this is a fun technique that you can use with either printers. We're going to cut it down to size. And we are going to get our Mod Podge mat. And you just want to, what type of paintbrush do I want? Let me see. Let's use this one. You are just going to paint the Mod Podge on top of your graphic. Now, the one thing that you have to remember with this technique is you have to make sure that you've reversed your letters. If not, when you put it down, it's going to be backwards. So you can see it's reversed here, but when we flip it down and put it on our project, it's the right way. So you can flip your graphics in a Word program, or I have an Etsy store full of graphics that already have a reverse file in them. I'll put the link down in the description to the Etsy store. So many fantastic graphics in there. I love making them. And also, I also have a graphic club where I send out graphics every week to your inbox that you can craft with. It's also a fun spot too. And exclusive videos also. I'll put all the links to those down below in the description, and you can check it out, and we would love to have you follow along over there. Okay, so I put Mod Podge on. You've seen that I didn't put very much. You don't want it really thick. And we flipped it over. We're going to press it into that fabric really well. We want to make sure that we have it adhered. I then like to use my brayer and just press it right in. Make sure that it's really in that fabric. That Mod Podge is really in that fabric. And then you just have to be patient. We're going to set this one aside. We're going to let it dry completely. And we'll go on to the next one. So this one we are going to use a piece of shiny paper. So this is a paper that you're going to find behind like stickers or CD labels or address labels. You can always find them at the dollar store or at the stationery store. I, a lot of times, even find them at the thrift store, and I pick them up. So we've got that shiny piece of paper, and I've printed on that shiny side with my laser printer. Unfortunately, with this technique, it only works with a laser printer. It won't work with an inkjet. So you have to keep that into mind when you are doing this transfer technique. Cut it down to size. We are, instead of putting the Mod Podge on this, we're going to put it on the fabric. I find sometimes if you try to put the Mod Podge directly on this, it will smudge the toner a little bit. So put the Mod Podge right on the fabric. You want quite a bit, because you want it to soak right into the fibers. My head swirls when I start doing all these transfer techniques because there's so many of them. This video here is just kind of touching the surface of all of the graphics transfers that you can do. But I thought it would be fun to use the same graphic and do a whole bunch of different transfers, and so you can see the difference. Okay, so we have that on there. We're going to pick this up. Again, this is reversed, because if we don't reverse it, when we flip it over, the words will be backwards. And I don't think I put that Mod Podge right out to the edge enough. You have to make sure you have that whole surface covered where that graphic is going to be, or it's not going to transfer properly. Okay. Let's put this right on that fabric, exactly where we want it. Press it down. We're going to take that brayer again, really press it in. Make sure it's really squished into that Mod Podge in the fabric. And now we're just going to be patient again. We're going to set it aside and let it dry. The drying time is going to be determined on your weather and your humidity. Every place is going to be different. And my advice is just let it sit overnight, especially if you're doing a transfer like this with the paper. Letting it sit overnight works the best. This one with the paper, it dries a little bit quicker, but so we're going to flip this around so this can dry this way up. We're going to flip this around so it can dry, and we'll be back. Our two fabric transfers are completely dry. Let's do the one with the shiny paper first. This is the one that we put the Mod Podge on, had the graphic printed on the shiny paper, and then laid it into the Mod Podge. And all you do, this is just like magic. I love this. This is so fun. You just peel away that paper and your image is transferred to a piece of fabric. Now, this is not machine washable. This is just to do for decor purposes only, but it's so fun to add into your DIY projects. You can put it on a tin can, you can put it in your mixed media, you can put it on glass jars, so many ideas, but look how crisp that is. Isn't that fantastic? And now let's do the one where we use just the paper and the Mod Podge. I'm going to use a little bit of water. We're going to start in the middle. Just wet it so you can just start to see the graphics show through. Start to rub off the paper. Your image is left on your fabric and the paper's coming off. You can just wet it down a little bit. I find using your fingers works the best. You can feel the paper underneath coming off. If you're using a sponge or a little rag, it's really hard to tell how much paper is coming off, and you might actually rub off the image. So I do find that the fingers work the best. And it takes a few minutes. When I'm doing projects like this, I usually grab a cup of coffee or tea, put on some jazz, and just relax and rub off the paper. And there's our two transfers onto fabric, our Mod Podge and paper, and our Mod Podge and the label sheets. Let me know down in the comments which one you think you like better. They each have their own purpose and different DIYs. This one's really easy because you don't have to rub off any paper, but give both of these a try and let me know what you think. This is my most popular transfer method to do. If you've been here for a while and watched my videos, you've seen me do this 100 times. I love it. It's so much fun to make signs on scrap wood. I have printed off the graphic on regular computer paper with my laser printer, but this will also work with an inkjet printer. I have some videos, comparison videos using the inkjet and the laser jet side by side. I'll put the QR code right here for that. And you can see the difference because there is a little bit of a difference when you're doing this type of a transfer with the different printers. But you just cut it down to size. And then you're going to take your Mod Podge mat. I like using the Mod Podge mat the best. When you're using glossy, of course, it's going to leave a glossy finish to your transfer, which just doesn't look like it should when you're doing a transfer like that. You want it to kind of blend in with the wood and make it look like it's been hand painted on there. Now I have just a piece of pine that I painted with some black homemade chalk paint and then some white homemade chalk paint. I kind of distressed it. And now I'm just putting a light amount of Mod Podge on that piece of paper and I'm gonna flip it over, center it exactly where I want it, and then press it down really well. Now, I find it works best on chalk paint. Chalk paint is absorbent and it's going to soak in that Mod Podge and it's going to allow it to transfer better. It doesn't work as well with latex paint or acrylic paint. It can be done. It's just a little bit more tricky. Chalk paint works the best, especially if you're a beginner, to try that. Press all the bubbles, all the wrinkles out. Be patient. Set this aside, let it dry really well. Again, probably overnight works the best. We'll be back. Okay, this is completely dry. I just have a little dish of water and a sponge. We're just going to start to wet the paper. I don't like to wet all of the paper all at once. I like just to start in the middle and just wet it so you can start to see the graphics show through. Just start to rub off the paper. And that is how easy it is to do a graphic transfer onto a piece of wood with some Mod Podge and a printer. You don't want to put too much water on it because it will reactivate the Mod Podge and pull up on you. Just dampen it so you can just start to see the graphics show through and then rub off. One thing that a lot of people do with this technique, a mistake, is they put too much Mod Podge on. Mod Podge is thick. So when you're finished your transfer, it's going to look raised off your project. You don't need very much. You just need a little bit just to coat your graphic and it will transfer just fine. I find using your fingers works the best. You can use a sponge or you can use a cloth for maybe the original top bits of paper, but after that, I find the finger works the best because you can feel the paper rolling up underneath. I'm just going to work away and rub off the rest of this paper. Okay, the transfer is all done and you can see how well it transferred. You now can seal this up. You can use Mod Podge as a top sealer. I don't care for it. I just find it kind of stays sticky and it's cloudy. My preference is some polyacrylic sealer and you can use whatever finish you want. Matte, this is semi-gloss, and you just put a coat right over top. These are actually my best sellers too. I never throw out any scrap wood. I always save them, do transfers on them, and you can take them to craft sales or sell them on Marketplace or great gifts. Just something to experiment with. Okay, we'll set this aside and we'll let it dry. Let's do a graphic or an image transfer using some polyacrylic sealer. I love this technique. The nice thing about this technique is I'm going to be doing it on a piece of painted wood that I painted with some black chalk paint, white chalk paint, and then distressed it around the edges a little bit. But this also works really well on wood colored pieces. I did a great big huge coffee sign and it turned out beautiful. If you haven't seen that video with this graphic transfer technique, I'll put the QR code right here and you can watch it because this opens up your options a little bit better of doing it either on a painted surface or on a wood surface, where I find with the Mod Podge graphic transfer method, it doesn't look as nice on a wood project. So what we're going to do, we're going to use this shiny sheets. These are label sheets that you're going to find at the dollar store. I find them at the thrift store. We're going to print on that shiny side with a laser printer. You can fool around with an inkjet printer with this technique. I haven't had really great results. Some people have. The laser printer works the best. If you're doing a lot of crafting, laser printers are not as expensive as they used to be. Definitely worth the investment to get one because it just makes your drying times and your perfection of the transfers that much better with a laser printer. So we're going to use polyacrylic sealer. This is a clear semi-gloss. You can use whatever finish you like. And we are just going to put the polyacrylic on top of the wood. A chalk painted surface works the best. It's absorbent, so it grabs the polyacrylic and the toner out of your image and transfers better. You can use acrylic. You can use some latex. I just find that it doesn't work quite as well. And you can make your own DIY chalk paint. I have a fantastic recipe using joint compound that is what I used on these. I'll put the QR code for that right here. And all of those will be down in the description also. You can check that out. Make your own chalk paint for a fraction of the cost of what you would pay at a store. Now, this has been reversed. We want to make sure we're reversing our text when we're doing this technique. Otherwise, your words are going to be backwards, as you can see this way. But when we flip it over, it's the right way. lay it into that polyacrylic, making sure it's centered exactly where we want it. This is where I like to get my brayer and just gently press it into that polyacrylic sealer. And this dries quite quickly, probably within an hour it's dry. You just want to make sure you're getting out all of the bubbles, all of the wrinkles. We're going to set it aside, let it dry. We'll be back. Okay, it's completely dry, and actually you can kind of know when it starts to dry because the edges will curl up a little bit. Watch the magic. You're going to peel that off. And if you find, see, like right here, so I have the wood's a little bit rough in a few spots, so the graphic hasn't actually attached there. What we can do, I just did a full circle. Use your little credit card or your wallpaper tool, and you can just burnish it and get it to transfer. And you're going to have that every once in a while. Like I said, this wood wasn't completely smooth, and I sometimes think when it's not perfect, it just kind of gives it character. That doesn't want to transfer right there. So we're just going to leave that. That's going to happen sometimes. Let's peel the rest off. There you go. That's a lot of fun. Have you ever tried using a gel medium for a transfer? Works fantastic. This is a Liquitex gloss medium. I don't really like doing transfers so much with a gloss. I just find that it doesn't look as natural, but that's all I had in my stash right now. So that's what we're going to roll with today. And you want to have your graphic printed off on regular computer paper. I printed this off on my laser printer. This will also work on an inkjet printer. Sized it to fit our piece of wood, painted the wood with chalk paint. Chalk paint works best when you're doing a transfer. It's absorbent. It pulls in that product and creates a better medium for the transfer to work. We are just going to pour a little bit on that. You don't need very much. And we're going to brush it all over that graphic. And get it right out to the edge. Perfect. We're going to flip it over. We've reversed the text on this graphic. If not, when you put it on your project, the words will be backwards. So you have to make sure to reverse them. Set it down, press it. You can use your brayer or you can use your fingers to get out all the bubbles and the wrinkles. We're going to set this aside and let it dry. It takes a while. I usually will let them sit overnight. It will depend on your humidity and your temperature, how quickly it dries. We'll be back. Okay, this is completely dry. We're going to take a sponge with a little bit of water, start in the center, rub it until you can just start to see the graphic show through, and then start to rub. Your graphic is going to stay on your piece of wood and the paper is going to rub off. And you can do this with fabric, wood, canvas. You just want to make sure that if you're doing it on like a canvas or a piece of wood, that you have that chalk painted surface on fabric. It's absorbent enough that it's going to soak in, so you don't need to use anything on top. Graphic transfers is just something that you just kind of, you fool around with and you just see what works and what you like for the type of graphic you want for your project and have fun with it. It's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be little bits and pieces that are not going to rub off properly or might not transfer well. That's part of the fun. So we're just going to work away here. I find this really relaxing. I usually grab a cup of tea. I put on some jazz. I'm going to cue editor Kirsten to put on some jazz and we'll rub the paper off. And there is our transfer using the Liquitex medium. Fantastic transfer. Now we can seal it up. You can either seal it up with this, or my preference is to use a polyacrylic sealer. I find it gives it a nice durable finish. Looks fantastic. Coat it up. And if you do have a little bit of haze on your transfer, when you're putting the top coat on, 100% of the time, it usually wouldn't be 100%, would it? 90% of the time, your haziness is going to go away and it will blend right in. If it doesn't, it probably means you didn't rub enough of the paper off. So just take your time, work in small sections, and you'll feel underneath your fingers when all the paper has been removed. Let's set this aside. Fantastic transfer method. This is kind of a unusual, unique kind of transfer method. We're going to create some skins. This was printed off on a shiny label sheet. You want to print on the label side. It's this type of sheet, the one that you would find CD labels, address labels. These were labels from a garage sale. And you just peel off that sticker, and then you've got the shiny paper underneath. That's what we printed on with a laser printer. You can kind of experiment with this with a inkjet printer, but I don't think it's going to work that well. I think you're going to want to stick with a laser printer for this technique. We're going to use some Mod Podge matte. You can also use gloss if you have some. And you just want to pour it on your transfer, not too much. And then spread it out. We want it really thick. So you're going to spread it right out on that graphic. And that's the difference between using a laser printer and an inkjet printer. If we were using an inkjet printer right now, the ink would be running. So I don't think this would work. I don't think I would do an inkjet transfer. I would stick to a laser with this. You just want to spread it right out. Get it as smooth as you can. And then we're going to set it aside and we're going to let it dry. It's going to level out a little bit as it dries. And we're going to put probably 3 coats of the Mod Podge on top of that graphic. We'll be back when this is completely dry. Okay, the first coat is dry. The one thing that you have to be mindful about when doing this transfer technique is if you put the Mod Podge on too thick, it has a tendency to dry kind of milky white. So you kind of have to find that happy medium of how thick to put it on so it's going to dry and be nice and clear. So we're just going to put on our second coat now, and this one you can just brush on top, pulling it right out to the edge. And then again, we're just going to set this aside and let it dry. Okay, I ended up putting on 3 coats. It's completely dry. And wait until you see this. It's kind of hard to, there we go. And you can peel this off. Isn't that magical? So cool. And you have this really thin film. It's not quite dry. There's still a little bit of the whiteness from the Mod Podge. And that's exactly why you don't want to put it on too thick too, because the Mod Podge does have a tendency to sometimes when it's too thick to be a little bit cloudy. But how cool is that? You can add that into your DIY projects. You can put some glue on the back and put it on a glass jar. Really fun technique. I love making my own homemade envelopes. And I wanted to put a graphic on the front. I didn't want to run it through my printer. And plus, it's just kind of fun to experiment with some transfer techniques. So I am going to transfer this onto the front of my envelope. This is the label sheets. You've seen me use these lots. They are the shiny paper underneath the stickers for labels or address labels or CD labels. You want to print on that shiny side which is what I've done here with your laser printer. This only works well with a laser printer. It doesn't work well with an inkjet printer. And for this transfer, we're going to use the Liquitex acrylic medium in the gloss. You can also use Mod Podge. It works great too. We're going to just put a little bit on top. We're going to spread it out. You don't want it on thick. You just need a little bit. You just need a little bit for it to absorb into that paper and do the transfer properly. So I'm just going to spread this out, making sure I get right to the edges. All my junk journals out there, junk journal friends and mixed media friends out there, you're going to love this technique. You probably already tried it. Okay, we've got that spread really well. We're going to flip it over, center. Oh, mistake. Yeah, this one's not reversed. And do you see where I made the mistake? You have to make sure when you're doing this technique that you have it reversed, or when you put it on your project, it's going to be backwards. We'll be back. Good thing I didn't put this on. I'm going to fix this. Okay, let's try this again. This one's reversed. We're going to put a little bit of that medium on there. Spread it out. Good thing I caught that in time. That's not the first time that that's happened. I've done so many transfers and I always sometimes don't catch it until I've put it on the project. It's dried and I start rubbing it off and I'm like, that's no good. Okay, we got this spread right out to the edges. We're going to flip it over. The word's going the right way. I think I'm going to grab my brayer. We're going to push this right into the envelope. If a little bit squishes out, you can just wipe it away. Okay, we're going to let this dry. We'll be back. Okay, this is completely dry. Are you ready? This is so much fun. So this is a DIY envelope that I made. I have a full tutorial on how to make your own envelopes. I'll put the QR code right here. Really easy, and it's going to save you a lot of money not having to go to the store and buy cards and envelopes. So expensive. Peel that off. Oh, look how crisp that is. What an amazing transfer. Nice and clean. You're going to have to give this one a try. Did you know you can do transfers on cardstock or cardboard or thick scrapbooking paper? Really simple. You can use some Mod Podge, or you can also use some Liquitex, or you could also use some polyacrylic sealer. All three will work fantastic. You can just kind of experiment and see what will work best for you. For this one, we're going to use some Mod Podge. This is just regular computer paper printed on my laser printer. I made sure I reversed the text because when you flip it over, your words are going to be the right way around. If you don't, then they're going to be backwards. We're just going to put a light coat on that graphic. And again, if you want to fool around with some of these transfer techniques and you don't want to be bothered with reversing text, head to my Etsy store and grab a couple graphics there to experiment with. Every graphic has a file that's already reversed, so you can go right ahead and print them right away and get creating. I think this is pretty good. How did I end up getting Mod Podge way up the... I'm so messy. I'm such a messy crafter. There we go. So go ahead, head to my Etsy store, grab a couple graphics. And if you are a graphic club member, of course, you already know there's all kinds of graphics there already reversed. The library is full. Every week you're getting more graphics. If you would like to join, we'd love to have you over on our graphic club. Lots of exclusive videos too. And you can follow over there and get signed up. We'll put all those links down below in the description, or maybe we'll put a QR code here and you can screenshot it and follow it through. Okay, we're just gonna lay this down on this piece of thick scrapbook paper. This is nice to do a technique like this because you can't put this through a regular printer. It's too big, but you don't want to cut your page down. So you can layer up graphics. You can put one on top of the other. So much fun. Okay, we're going to set this aside. and let it dry. Okay, it's completely dry. Now this one can be a little bit tricky because obviously we don't want to soak that paper underneath. We just want to work with the transfer. So I just have a little bit of water and a sponge. We're just going to really gently just dampen that and then start to rub away the paper. That is going to leave the image on your paper and rub the paper off. But like I said, this one you want to go really slow and take your time because you don't want to get that scrapbooking paper wet. And you can see how it's transferred onto that other paper. I really like this method because you can see the paper underneath still. So you can imagine you can do this with a magazine page, you can do it with a comic book, you can do it with sewing patterns, books out of pages. You just have to take your time, go slow. Don't put the Mod Podge on very thick because you will see an outline. Just go really slow. Let's just scooch this out of the way here. We'll rub off here. And of course, when I'm showing you these transfer techniques, I want you just to take the technique and then put your own spin on it and get creative with it. That's what this is all about. I'm just showing you the actual technique, and then I want you to do your thing with it from there. Okay, I'm going to finish rubbing this off. We'll be back when it's all done. A beautiful transfer onto some scrapbooking paper. Give it a try. I bet you've never heard of this transfer technique. It is the sandwich bag technique. We're going to use 2 sandwich bags. We're going to cut the top off of them. And you want to have iron, which I have warming up right here. I have a craft iron I just keep in my craft room. I have it on the highest setting with no steam. I just have a towel and I have a silicone pad. I'm going to use a piece of parchment paper. I'm going to cut off another one. You want to make sure you're doing this in a well-ventilated area because you are melting plastic. I have my outside door open right over here. We're going to take our graphic, which is just printed on regular computer paper with a laser printer. This works the best with a laser printer. You can kind of fiddle with it with an inkjet. Doesn't work all that great, but the laser printer works really well. So we're going to lay it on the piece of parchment paper. We're going to take our zippy bag. Actually, I think I'm going to cut it down a little bit because we don't need all that. I'm going to cut it down a little bit smaller. When I originally did this technique, this video has over 1 million views. I'll put the QR code right here. It was really fun, and a lot of people really loved it. So I'm just reviewing it here again because if you haven't tried it, it's a really fun transfer technique to try. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I did notice my zippy bags have kind of a bluish tinge to them, which I think it just depends on what brand you buy, but that's okay. We can kind of roll with it for our project. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to put a piece of parchment paper on top, making sure it's nice and flat. We're going to take our iron, highest setting, no steam, and we're just going to start to iron over top of that and melt that plastic onto the paper. It's going to take a couple passes. We want to make sure that it's sealed onto that paper really well. Yeah, I'm noticing these sandwich bags, they must have put like a little bit of a dye in the plastic because it's not crystal clear, which is not what I would have picked, but it's all that I have in my stash. Okay, let's see how that, we're just gonna 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I think that's probably melted really well. Peel off that parchment paper. I'm gonna do it a little bit more. Okay, that should be good. I'm gonna let this cool completely, then we're gonna peel the parchment paper off. It's gonna wanna curl up a little bit, but that's okay. So what we're going to do now, we have to remove the, let's get this out of the way. We have to remove the paper off the back. So I've got the dish with some water on a sponge. We're just gonna wet it. And then start to rub the paper off. I like to start in the middle and work my way out. And as you can see, that paper is rubbing off. The image is staying on that plastic baggie. I would love to know what you would do with this type of transfer, what you would use it in. I have done this and used it in my junk journals. I have used it on a book cover. Lots of really fun ideas. And rub all that paper off. It'll take a little bit. Again, let's grab our tea or coffee. Start some jazz, Kirsten, to edit. And let's finish rubbing off this paper. The transfer is all done. I've rubbed off all of the paper. I'm kind of embracing that blue, actually. I don't mind it. And one other nice thing about this is you can trim it, cut it, however you like, into whatever shape, and add it to your DIY projects. So here is all of our transfers done. We have our Mod Podge paper transfer, our Liquitex paper transfer, our Polyacrylic on the shiny paper transfer. We have our shelf liner transfer. We have our packing tape transfer, Mod Podge shiny paper transfer onto fabric, our Mod Podge fabric transfer. We have the Liquitex that we used on the envelope for the transfer. We have Mod Podge scrapbook paper transfer, and we have the Mod Podge skin transfer, and we have the sandwich bag transfer. And there you have it, 11 image transfer methods, all using the exact same graphic. Each one gives a totally different look, and now you can decide which one's your favorite. Let me know down in the comments which technique gave you that what the heck moment, or which ones that you're excited to try first. If you enjoyed this video, you're definitely gonna love the next one. It's packed with even more creative ideas and DIY inspiration. So grab a coffee or a tea, click that video, and we're gonna see you over there.